So, storyboarding, where to begin? Well, what I do, and like I say, I'm not big on storyboarding, but a really easy thing to start with is to do something called thumbnailing. And this is kind of like a visual brain dump of your idea. So what I'm going to do is, if you're doing this in 16:9, which is the aspect ratio you're watching this video in, you want to draw little boxes that are roughly that shape. Draw out quite a lot of them, fill your page, and these don't have to be particularly neat. If you fill your sheet, you're going to be able to get quite a lot of information all down on one piece of paper, which is nice to see all together. So I'll draw that many to start with, and you can literally just draw in simple images to get your idea out your head. So say it was my burger idea. I said I'm going to make a stop motion burger film. Perhaps I want to start with a menu coming through a door. So we have got the inside of a house, there's the letterbox, and you can see that a menu has come through the door. Perhaps then we see a hand come in, maybe we change the shot size, so a nice big hand, lovely image, takes the menu out the door, and then we see a close-up of the menu as if someone's reading it, and maybe then the menu gets put down on the sideboard in the kitchen. I don't know if this is what's going to happen in my film. I haven't decided yet, and I don't want to give it all away in the process of making these videos. I want my film to still be a surprise, so I'm not going to give exactly what I'm doing in my film away, but I just want to show you how simple this can be. And these images, they literally really only have to make sense for you. So you can just do really quick drawings. If there's something that you perhaps want to make particularly clear for yourself, so I could put menu here. Maybe when I go back to look at this, I'm not going to remember what that image is. So you can make little notes around it as well. I could put here letterbox. And this is just a really easy way of quickly getting your idea out and down onto paper. So other things you want to think about when you are storyboarding is you want to think about why you're choosing a certain shot. And you only want to cut to a new shot when you're wanting to shift your audience's focus. So here I want to bring attention to this menu, and therefore I'm showing tighter shots on the menu because the menu is of significance. This is what's going to lead into the creation of the burger, for example. So you want to change a shot when you're drawing attention to something new. You need to show your audience what you want them to see. You're kind of spoon feeding them to a degree, but you don't want to give them all the information. But if there's something crucial that they need to pay attention to, then you need to make sure that you're showing that thing. And that's when perhaps a close-up could be really good. If you think about it, with every single picture that you see on a storyboard, you've got to be adding something more to the story. You've got to be leading your viewer somewhere and showing something more. So there has to be a reason for each image. And that's something good to think about. Why are you showing that to the audience? What significance does it have? Does it really need to be there? Is that shot essential? If that shot wasn't there, would the story still make sense? So kind of be critical with the shots that you're choosing and why you're choosing them. Think about that. What is the best way of visually explaining to your viewer what it is that you want to say? So when you're actually moving on to a proper storyboard, you've done your thumbnails, you kind of want to do this so that it makes sense to someone else a little bit more clearly. You would draw out proper storyboard templates. So this would usually involve bigger squares, again in the same aspect ratio, but you're probably only going to want to do 3 on a row. So you do 3 like that, and then you do 3 again. And you can create this on the computer. You can make this really neat. So these are actually accurate boxes that are 16:9 in ratio. If you'd like a template for a storyboard or a thumbnail sheet, do let me know in the comments, because I'm more than happy to make that when I've got time. And I'll put a link in the description box for you to download that. So do let me know. And don't forget to thumbs up on the video if you're liking this as well. It's not my strong point, but I'm trying to be as helpful as I can. So here is a more traditional storyboard looking sheet. Now something that you might want to do is number the boxes so people know the order. I mean, it's kind of straightforward, but if the pages get out of order, this will help people know the order. What some people will want to do is add extra information, and you would do that underneath the box. So often you'll see lines underneath the box here, and you might have action. So that is actually a written description of the action that's happening in that picture. You might also have sound effects. If there's any critical sound effects that are required for that bit of action, you might note them down. And also dialogue or audio would be written here as well. You can literally add whichever information makes sense to you. So don't feel that this is set in stone. You can make your storyboard sheet completely custom to you and your own needs. Another thing that I think that people often forget, especially if you're new to filmmaking, is you often will go with, say, a mid-shot. Maybe you want to show your character mid-shot, and then you cut to something else. Perhaps we've got the menu in the situation, it's on the table, and what have you done? You've got another mid-shot. Mid-shots are quite safe, they're quite boring. You need to make sure in your storyboards, in your film, that you are mixing up your shots. You want to have close-ups, extreme close-ups, mid-shots, wide shots, establishing shots. Make your shots unusual and unique as well. Really think about that. When you begin your film, you might want to establish the location. For that, you would have a really wide shot. So say we're making a film and it's set in a house. The first shot that you have might be the exterior of a house. So you're establishing that there's a house here, and the first shot you see is a really nice wide shot of the house. And then perhaps we are going to go in the house. Maybe even there's a character already here. So you're establishing shot, you've got a character here by the house. The next shot that you see is their hand really tight up on the doorbell. So you know that they're at the house, and there you have, sorry about my terrible drawing. Here he is at the door, pushing the doorbell. So you've gone from an establishing shot, which is really wide, to then a tighter shot. This is kind of a mid shot. You could go even tighter. So if we draw another box, just realised you couldn't actually see this. Yeah, so basically you need to have a reason for why you're choosing your shots. And like I say, perhaps it is that you've already established that you have a man here waiting outside the house. So the next shot to further the story would be a close-up on him pushing the doorbell rather than a mid-shot, which might be a little bit boring. So that's something to consider, mixing up your shot sizes. Don't just stay with mid-shots. Go tight in on something if you want to draw attention to it, and pull out as well to show the environment, to give context of where action is actually happening. Now also you want to think about your composition. So when you're changing a shot, you've got to think about where the action is. Now there's this rule in film called crossing the line, and that is basically that if your action's happening, your camera should never cross this line. So you could have your camera facing the action here, you could have your camera here, basically anywhere, even on the line, but you should never change the position of the camera to go to the other side, because it's going to switch the orientation of where things are in the space, and it's going to look weird. Now, as well in films, sometimes you might want camera moves. Again, you want to think, why am I putting a camera move in there? Is it to add an effect? Is this a necessary thing that serves a purpose, that adds something to the story? Now, if you have a scene with a character and perhaps something has happened, they're sad, there's a reason that you want to draw attention to them. You know, perhaps they're here and something's happened and you want to like show their emotion more. You could do a slow zoom in on this shot, and to do camera moves you could change colour, so go to a different pen, and perhaps a good way of showing this could be arrows, and then perhaps you draw a new box to show that you're pushing in, and write push in on camera. Basically make it as clear as you can. I find changing colour is a good way to do this, and keep it consistent throughout your storyboards. So maybe you put a key on your first page or somewhere and it's just like blue, and you put a little arrow and you say camera moves, direction, or something like that. Just so people know. Other things to think about: the framing, the composition of your shots. So again, if you are framing something, so you've got, this is your shot, your 16:9 square or rectangle, and you can break that up into a grid. So let's go with this other colour. So if we go like this, you might have heard of the rule of thirds. So you've got 3/3 going that way, you've got 3/3 going this way. Now, often you want to put your action on one of these lines. If you've got a character that's looking this way, you would want to put them here so that they have looking room. So there's space for them to look into the scene. Their eyes are looking this way. If you had your character on the other side, so if you had your character, maybe these two people are having a conversation, you'd want to put the character on this side that's looking this way, so they have looking space as well. And another thing is the eyes should sit on this top line here. So no matter what the shot size is, whether it's a sort of tight wide like this, or whether it's more of a close-up. So if you've got a close-up, so you've got a much tighter shot, you still want to put your character's eyes on this line. That is where things start to look like you'd see on TV or in the movies. This is generally how things are framed. You can also play with empty space, and if you want someone to feel uncomfortable, for example, say this character is in a situation where they're in danger, you might purposely position them here even though they're looking this way, because as a viewer that will make you feel uncomfortable. So there are all sorts of tricks that you can do like that. If you watch horror movies and movies or TV shows where people are having arguments, you may notice things like this that make you feel uncomfortable as a viewer. Sometimes there will be camera shake, so you could do, I don't know, wiggly lines and say hand held to show that there's going to be movement on a shot. That can be used sometimes during an argument scene because it kind of is unsettling. It makes it feel more uncomfortable to you as a viewer. There are all sorts of tricks like that that you can do. If it's integral to what you're doing, you may also want to indicate where a light source is. Perhaps you've got the sun and you want to show where that is. You could do that outside of the box. Again, that'll be dependent on the film you're making and whether that is useful information to have on your storyboards. But I definitely would say having lines underneath to describe your action, your sound effects, and also your dialogue are essential. The more information you can give on a storyboard, the better. Every new image is adding something and leading the story on, like I said before. But yeah, I'm not a storyboard artist. I'm not keen on doing storyboards myself, but I hope that there was something helpful and something of value for you in here. It's definitely given you a few things to think about, and do let me know in the comments if you'd like me to create some templates that you can download and print out at home to help you with your own storyboarding. And I'll catch you in the next video, which is more about production and getting your Dragon frame, camera, lights all set up and ready to go. So yeah, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again in the next one.